Hi there. This is Mark Ittleman, speech-language pathologist, and welcome to the teaching of talking. And welcome to these little videos, which I've been doing to help you address many of the challenges that caregivers and people with aphasia have to go through. So I'm going to just teach you a few things that will enable you to be more successful and to be more educated in terms of getting the results you want, getting the results, hopefully, of better speaking and better talking. And this particular video is on finding the right therapist. How are you going to know when you've found the right therapist? And how are you going to know once you're in therapy if the therapist is going to be the right one for you? And there are just a few things about therapists, especially the good ones, that you need to know. So I'm going to just review them point by point, and then you can put that information somewhere in your memory bank or somewhere in your file so that when you make that decision, or if you're going to make another decision about a therapist, that you have these things in mind. Okay, so number one is find a therapist who, when you go in there and you sit down, involves everyone. Involves the caregiver and involves the person with aphasia. Now, quite often, the caregiver is left out of the equation. It's just the caregiver drops the patient off at therapy. The patient goes into the therapist's room, the door is closed, and that's all you have. And maybe, if you're lucky, at a couple of minutes before the end of the hour, you'll be invited into the room and they'll give you some handout sheets or something else. Don't go there. Okay? The kind of therapist you want is somebody who's going to invite you in, even inviting you into the evaluation, into the assessment, so that you can watch what they're doing and they can point out a number of things to you. Then at the end of the visit, the therapist should be able to tell you if your loved one is a good candidate for speech and language therapy. So you'll be able to watch them. You'll be able to watch the interaction. Are they likable? Are they relaxed? Are they fun to talk to? Those are some of the things you want to know, because speech therapy usually is a rather long duration type of treatment. So you want to find the right person who you get along with and that makes you feel comfortable. So if that therapist involves you in the evaluation, the assessment, and points out to you various things about the assessment at the end of the visit and lets you know what the goals are. They should be able to tell you at the end of the assessment what the goals are, what they're going to be working on, and what they think the prognosis is. That's very, very important. So that's number one. So number two is, are they personable? Are they likable? You know, I don't know about you, but if I'm going to work with anybody, I want to like them. If I feel uncomfortable with a person, there's going to be a certain amount of tension in the room. There's going to be a certain amount of tension in my mind. I don't want any kind of tension when I'm working or if I have to learn something. Because if there's any tension, if they're trying to rush me, if they're talking too fast, or they're giving me something that's too difficult, that's going to create anxiousness, that's going to create tension, and that's going to create frustration. And guess what? Frustration and tension have no place in the therapy room and have no place in the treatment of aphasia whatsoever. Because when you find a therapist who will give your loved one a task, and hopefully it's a teaching task and a speaking task, and if that person achieves that task, you know that the therapist has chosen something that the person with aphasia can do. Now, when you have therapists who choose tasks that the individual with aphasia cannot do, well, again, that creates tension, that creates frustration, that creates anxiety. That should never be a part of the treatment process. The treatment process should be by a clinician, by a therapist, who will give you and your loved one a task to do and show you how to do it, demonstrate it to you, have you do it with the person with aphasia so that you understand it, so that you can achieve it. Now, when the therapist shows you something and takes the time to make sure that you can do the task, well, that's just wonderful. Because, let's face it, aphasia is a long-term operation. It's a long-term deal. There's no quick fix. And I believe that one of the only solutions to real achievement, to real return of talking and talking improvement, is the involvement in the care partner. So the care partner, not only we want them to learn what to do at home to stimulate speech and language, but they must also be comfortable in the situation. Now, if you're not comfortable as a care partner with the therapist or the approach, if they talk too fast, or they seem to talk down to you, or they seem to give you a lot of tasks that are not related to talking, then chances are you're not going to feel 100% about that therapy. And if you don't feel 100% about therapy, then you may be in the wrong place. And so you want to find a therapist, number one, who's personable, who's likable, who speaks in a way that you understand them, who shows you what to do, shows your loved one with aphasia what to do, and watch to see that the person with aphasia can do what is suggested. Now, one of the things I believe very strongly is never to give a person with aphasia a task that is difficult or they cannot do. Why? Because it creates tension, it creates frustration, it creates stress. And remember this cardinal rule: stress, frustration, and tension have no place in the therapy interaction. So if there's a fair amount of that, then you may be in the wrong place. And you may decide to find someone who can meet those suggestions. A therapist who's personable, who when they speak to you, you understand what they're saying. They're speaking simply. They show you what to do, and they make sure that you know how to do it. Now, those are some of the winning principles of the therapist who you're going to want to work with. So to finish this video, if you're finding that the therapist is not personable, or they're speaking in a way that you don't understand, or they're speaking too fast, or they're giving you tasks that are too difficult, then you're probably in the wrong place. Find someone who's personable. Find someone that you understand. Find someone that you like. Find someone that will teach you. Find someone that will have you do a talking task that helps improve speaking. Find someone who works with you, who teaches you, and makes sure that you understand the process. Now, that's going to take you a little bit to find out somebody who's like that. But I want you to stay committed to that, because, you know, a lot of people end up going to therapy, some of them end up going and they don't really like it, and they spend weeks and weeks and months, and then they use up all their therapy visits for what? For something that they never really liked, for something that they never really believed would help them. So make sure in the beginning that you find a place, that you find a therapist who can teach you so that you can help your loved one at home, because the home is the best place to stimulate speech and language. I mean, after all, that's where children learn how to talk. Why shouldn't it be the same place where people with aphasia or people who have difficulty speaking, why wouldn't that also be the same place? And you don't have to have a PhD or a speech pathology degree to be able to help someone talk. But you do want to make sure that you have a therapist that will train you, that will teach you, and who will always be there so that you can contact them later on if you run into any problems. So down below, you'll see a link for teachingoftalking.com. Come to see our website. It's under construction right now, and it should be done very soon. And also, down below is a link to a survey questionnaire where we ask you to fill that out if you would like to speak with me personally about anything that you may need to want to know, anything that if you would like to consider some mentoring, or if you would like to learn how to help your loved one speak, fill out the questionnaire, send it over to me, I'll look it over, and if I think we're a good fit, I'll contact you, or I'll get back with you and request from you additional information. So make sure that you visit us at teachingoftalking.com and that you fill out the questionnaire, and then I'll be back in touch with you before you could say Jack Sprat could eat no fat. This is Mark Ittleman, speech-language pathologist. This has been a video about how to find the right therapist and what the qualities of a good therapist are that you're going to want to work with if you're going to succeed helping your loved one talk better. Okay, bye-bye now.